the elements of literature. I mean by elements, I mean the fundamentals of literature. You know that every building needs an infrastructure, has a keystone. So here I'm talking about a building like literature. It has to get fundamentals and keystone. This is what we are going to discuss today. First of all, we've got the characterization. No story without characters. If you don't have characters who are going to act the events, nobody, of course, so we don't have a story. Could be something else, could be poetry or prose, but it's not novel, it's not a story. So you've got a story, you've got characters. Fine?
That's all, finished.
Yes, great. The characters are actually are going to be the protagonists, the antagonists, static characters, and dynamic characters. And I'm gonna tell you something about a hint about each character of these: protagonist, antagonist, static, dynamic. Okay. The protagonists actually are the heroes. They are static characters. They don't change with the course of the story. They are static. They have the same point of view. Excuse me? Hello? Something wrong with the internet connection? Just a minute. Well, I hope right now it's better because I moved closer to the router. So the internet connection now is better. Hello, guys.
Yes,
Hello.
Mr.
Yes, great.
Yes, with you.
Wonderful. The antagonist actually is the enemies of the heroes. Antagonists are dynamic characters. They change during the course of the story. Their point of view changes. And of course, you know, the plot, which is the arrangement of the events of the story. Does anyone know the parts of the plot or how the plot develops? Okay, remember this? You studied this before, but actually, I'm revising. You know the beginning, the middle, the end. The beginning, which is introduction. Can you remember that? Hello?
Yes, Mr.
Yes, can you remember the plot?
Yes, Mr. I can remember.
Yes. The first point in here is the exposition. You know what's the exposition? It's the yes, it's the beginning. That's right. It's simply an introduction to the literary work. The introduction. And after this, we've got the rising actions. We are moving toward a problem. So this point we call it rising actions. When we reach the problem, this is the climax. So the climax, in this point, we have a struggle, a problem. Okay, we've got a conflict. Okay, so each problem needs a solution. When we start taking actions to solve this problem, well, we're calling this following action. And when we reach the closure point in which the problem got solved, so we have the end. We call it resolution. Or we've got another term, which is denouement. Denouement is a French word, but it's used in the English dictionary. It means the resolution. Okay? So in this point, the story, of course, ends up because of what? I've got the end. I've got the problem solved. So it's the end, simply. When we are talking about another element, it's the setting. Who can tell me what is the setting?
Mister, it is like the place and time.
That's right. We are talking about setting, we are talking about time or place, time and place. Where and when. Great, thank you. Well, I'm talking about the conflict. And I said before, the conflict is a part of the plot. It's the climax point. Well, the conflict could be between who and who. You know?
Between two persons and more.
This could be, yes, character versus character. That's right.
Yes. Yes.
Could be between character and nature. Character versus nature. For example, the hero can challenge the wind, you can challenge monsters, can challenge waves. So character versus nature or supernatural. I'm talking about monsters and something like this. This is supernatural. The character also may challenge society. How come? When you've got strict rules, for example, when you've got the discrimination, so the character may oppose this. This is a challenge. It is a conflict between the character rules and somebody or some people. Like what happened with Martin Luther King, for example. He defeated the society. He challenged this racial discrimination for the black nether. So I've got here a challenge between a character, Martin Luther King, and the society. And the last type of conflict is the challenge between character and himself. He knows what he wants, but he knows also what's supposed to do. Maybe what was supposed to be done is something he don't want, so he is challenging himself. He's going to do the right, or he's going to do what he wants. So here is a conflict inside one character. Got it? Guys, give me a hint you're there and understand. If you do not, please use your mic and tell me, stop here, I don't understand. Okay? We've got another element, which is mood. The mood is the character's feelings. the reader's feelings, how the book makes you feel. This is the mood. Excuse me. And let's move to the theme. Who is going to define the theme? I want a brilliant student of you tells me what is the theme.
I think that's what is the story is talking about.
Yes, the central idea. That's right. Sometimes it's the lesson you've learned from the literary work. Okay? So simply you can say it's the central idea or the lesson, the moral lesson. Fine. Another point. Point of view. Point of view. Could be first person, second person, third person. And the third person could be omniscient or could be limited omniscient. We're going to talk about this later on. Just a minute. So let's sum up again what we have said. We mentioned some elements: the setting, the characters, the conflict, the plot, the point of view, the tune, and the mood. So once again, who can tell me what are the characters of the story? For the people who came late, I'm revising. So someone is going to tell me what are the characters. Muhammad Salim, it's the third time I accept you. So what's happening there? You lose your connection, internet connection? Okay. So again, the characters, they're what? They are the story's tools. They are what? They are simply people or animals of the story. You know what? The characters could be flat, could be round, static, dynamic. Flat characters, you said that they are the heroes. They are static characters. Their point of view never changed during the course of the story. In contrast to the round characters, they are dynamic. They change their attitudes. They change their point of view. So the heroes are flat characters. They never come in round or dynamic characters mood. Just a minute. Someone is asking to join in. Who's that? I don't know. Uwan Al Wazir. Who's that? Who's that?
A nuclear conflict could well be mankind's last.
Someone is using his mic. It's so loud. Would you shut down this music, please? So Once again, I'm talking about the plot. So I'm revising, by the way, for those who are joining in late. So we talked about the plot, and we said that the plot is what? The arrangement of events. It's the sequence of events. So the parts of the plot are, who can tell me? Is the brilliant one is going to tell me parts of the plot? Hello?
It is the climax, rising action, then the climax, then falling action, then resolution.
Yes. Well, 90% you're right. But I didn't mention the first point. I'm not going to start with the rising action immediately. I have introduction at the beginning. Yes. The introduction is called exposition. Please don't forget these terms, these literary terms. It's so significant. I'm starting with the
Okay.
exposition. Yes, the exposition is an introduction to the story. And after this, the rising action. That's right. You got it. We are following with the climax. And we said that the climax contains the problem or the conflict. And after this, I'm taking some actions to solve this problem. So here, I'm in the falling action point. And at last, I got the problem solved, which is the resolution or the denouement. So someone may ask me a good question and may say that, so what's the relation between English language and the French language? You said that the word denouement is a French word and it's used in English dictionary. Yes, that's right. What makes us use French words like denouement in English language is that during the reign of William the Conqueror, England became part of France because France invaded England. So what happens during this period of time is that 1,000 words came from French roots, French language, into the English language. And we are still using most of these words. That's, excuse me, no music allowed in my classroom. So guys, once again, I said that 1,000 words came from French roots, French origin, and it's still used up till now in English language. You can find it in the English dictionary. And when you check the etymology dictionaries, you're going to find that he's going to tell you this is a French origin word, and that's okay to use it. So guys, let's move to another point. Yes, we said the types of conflict. You said that we've got man versus man. The conflict here is between people. Maybe the conflict is inside the one character. He's struggling against himself to do this or not. For example, when we read Hamlet's drama by William Shakespeare, we're going to find that Prince Hamlet has a struggle inside himself. He's thinking of committing suicide, killing himself, but he is hesitated because of what? Because he's telling us that no one went to the hereafter, the life after death, and came back to tell us what's there. Is it good? Is it bad? He doesn't know. So that's why he said to be or not to be? That's the question. He meant to kill himself or commit suicide or no? Because he is hesitated. So here I've got a conflict inside or a struggle inside the one character, Prince Hamlet. The conflict also could be between man and nature. Man is struggling against the huge waves of the ocean, for example, and could be between the man and supernatural, like when he is facing monsters. And sometimes heroes are challenging the society. They want to change the rules. For example, the discrimination against the Black Nethered. Okay. Then we revised the element theme. We said that the theme is the central idea or the moral lesson. In the point of view is the angle the story is being told from. This is the point of view. Sometimes we want to know who's telling the story. For example, is the character inside the story? Is it someone who is not one of the characters? Not to muddle up. We've got to know the point of view, which is the angle the story is being told from. Mohammed Salim again wants to join in. So, in the point of view of God, first person, as if you are telling a story. You are the one who is telling the story. So this is first person. Third person limited. The story is told from an observer. See here. This is the third person limited. The third person objective sees into the mind of the character. You know what's going inside the mind of the character. Third person omniscient, told by person. The story is told by person who knows everything about everyone in the story. Actually, the third person omniscient isn't a character. He is not a character. Someone is going to tell you some details, but this person actually is not a character. Foreshadowing, it's hints or clues on what's to come. It's so important, actually. It's one of the main points that makes the story succeeds. Because of what? Because foreshadowing is making some kind of suspense. Foreshadowing makes you want to read more to know these clues actually is going to tell you the correct denouement, the correct the correct resolution or no. So for the successful story, you have to give this element foreshadowing. Don't forget. The foreshadowing actually serves two purposes in a story. The first one of them is it builds suspense. It keeps you reading. When you got suspense, you're going to get ahead. You're going to keep going to know what is your you suppose something is it correct? Is it right? or you don't know at once, so you want to know more. The second purpose actually for point of view is it makes narrator more believable. And irony, another point, which is irony. Well, irony contrasts between what appears true and what really is. And I've got types of irony: verbal, situational, and dramatic. In verbal irony, it's what's said versus what's meant.
Mister, what the meaning of irony?
Well, for example, when you ask somebody a question and he said something wrong, you're going to say to him, "Wow, you're great, you're brilliant, you're wonderful," and he's not. So this is what you're making fun of him. This is the irony.
Okay,
He's
thank
not good, and you are mocking, you are laughing at him and saying you're great. He's not great.
Okay, thank you. I
This
understand.
is irony. So the irony happening, that is opposite of what's expected. It's the opposite of what is expected. What's expected, you're going to say, no, you're wrong. You're not wise. Your point of view is wrong. So you're not saying that you're wrong, or you're going to say you're great. That's what I meant by the irony. And we've got the tune element. Tune. It's the attitude toward the subject. Your attitude. You're feeling well. You are angry. You're upset. You are you're happy. This is what I mean by the tune. Your feelings. So you can in tune you can be pessimism, optimism, bitterness, joyful, humorous, or upset. And the last thing in here is the figurative language. The figurative language, which is language that goes beyond literal meanings. The figurative language, like simile, for example, when you are shading a comparison and say someone is like, for example, Ali is like a lion, so Ali is a lion. So when you say that Ali is so brave like a lion, here you are making a simile. Okay, you're comparing Ali to a lion in the braveness. This is a simile, but try not to forget to use as or like, because if you are going to lose this part of the simile, it's not a simile, it's something else now. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what, but later on. Yes, it simply can say it's a metaphor. When you are making a comparison between Ali and the lion and say Ali is like a lion, this is a simile. Ali is a lion without using like or as. This is metaphor. So metaphor is a comparison as well, but in it you are not going to use like or as. Another point in figures of speech, you have hyperbole. Hyperbole is exaggerated terms. When you say, for example, I phoned you today millions of times, you did not. You may phone your friend 2 or 3 times, that's all. And you're saying that it's millions of times. So this is exaggeration. This exaggeration in the figures of speech is hyperbole. You got it? I want someone else to give me a hyperbole. Go ahead, my heroes. Tell me a hyperbole. Hello?
Yes, mister.
Yes. Who can tell me a hyperbole? Okay, listen to my example and you're going to give me yours. For example, I can say that yesterday I slept for ages. I didn't sleep actually for 100 years to say ages. I may sleep for 10 hours, for example. So when I say about 10 hours, I'm saying ages. This means this is a hyperbole. So a week ago, I spent a fortune. Actually, this could be 10 reals. So 10 reals is not a fortune. But when I'm saying this, I'm exaggerating. So this is hyperbole. If you've got an example, please tell me. Guys, hello? I'm waiting. Hello there.
Mister, I am thirsty. I could drink a river.
You what?
I am thirsty. I could drink a river.
Yes, I'm thirsty. I can drink the ocean. Of course, nobody's going to drink the ocean. I'm hungry as a bear. Well, actually, I'm not hungry as a bear, and I can't eat a whole deer, for example, like a bear. Okay, it's wonderful. Well, another point in the figures of speech, we got the onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. Well, the R words actually mimic their sounds. For example, when you say buzz, it's the sound of the bee. And the sound of the bee goes like this. That's buzz. This is onomatopoeia. Bang, bow, brr. They are onomatopoeia. Words mimic the sounds. Well, right now, I guess we covered most of the elements. Most elements of literature. It's just what yes, we're going to sum up again. In figures of speech, we've got the personification, the onomatopoeia, the simile, the metaphor, the alliteration, the hyperbole, the what? Well, the personification. For example, when I'm saying that the wind is bitter, well, actually, the wind is not bitter. The wind bites. Actually, the one who bites is a human being or an animal, and the wind does not have teeth to bite with. So that's why this is some qualities of human beings. I'm giving these qualities to non-living being, which means this is personification. When I'm giving some qualities of a person to non-living element or thing, this is personification. Okay? In the onomatopoeia, well, onomatopoeia is what, well, the mimic actually of the sound of the word. When I'm saying buzz, brr, and the simile, who's that? Abdullah. Welcome back, Abdullah. So guys, you said personification, onomatopoeia, and the simile. When you are comparing between two people or two things, we are using as or like. So this is simile. If you are comparing and then use the word like or as, this is metaphor simply. In alliteration, well, the alliteration actually creates some kind of music inside the lines. How come? Well, alliteration means the repetition of the initial sounds between words. So the repetition of sounds makes some kind of music. We call this alliteration. And in hyperbole, actually, we are exaggerating, saying, for example, I'm thirsty. I could drink the ocean. Nobody's going to drink the ocean, but this is exaggeration. And exaggeration in figurative language, we call it hyperbole. So, guys, are there? Well, let me ask you a question, just to know that you are following me or you muddled up. Who's going to tell me what the theme is? What the theme is?
It is what the story is talking about.
Yes, that's right.
It is the
And
moral.
who can? Yes, that's right. It's the central idea or the moral lesson. That's right. Well, it's not supposed to start our curriculum at the first week, but actually, I just want to ask you about the books. Have you got My Perspectives book? Have you got it?
Yes, Mr.
Great.
Yes, yes.
Something
Yes, we
else?
get it.
Yes, great. And what about the writing and grammar book? Writing coach. Have you
No, we
got
didn't
it?
take
Excuse me?
the writing book. We didn't take it.
Uh-huh. Okay. So as I told you before that, we're not going to start anything in My Perspectives book in the first week. We are just going to revise the main elements you may forgot from the last years. So that's why we're going to start next week, inshallah, with the books. So right now, if you've got a question, go ahead and ask me. If you just remember some literary terms, but you don't remember what are they or what's the definition of these elements, just ask me. I'm here for this. Are you there? Okay. Well, I insisted on something which is not to mention one of these elements in order to have your questions. Well, actually, this point is so important in when we are tackling the elements of literature. It's the genre. The genre. I didn't say what's it because I expected someone was going to ask. So we didn't tell us what's genre. Maybe you know it, or maybe you forgot. I don't know which one is it. So if you answer this, so you know it. If not, so you forget. So tell me, what is the genre? Hello? So you forget.
Mister, it is the
What?
type of story.
Yeah, that's right. It's the type of the story. Who can give me examples of the some genres?
Comedy, action,
Fiction,
Yes, that's right.
non-fiction,
Yes,
spy,
yeah, that's right.
realistic fiction.
Wonderful. Historical fiction, fantasy, adventure story, historical, real story. Okay. You know what? When we are searching for the word story, we can find a synonym to this word. It's the novel. Novel. The novel actually the story. So if you check the word novel, you're gonna find it a French word. Etymology science tells us that it's a French word. And by the way, etymology, it's the science who searches for the origin of words, how it developed, like this. So in etymology dictionaries, you're going to find the word novel from French roots, French origin. And you're going to find the word novel in the French dictionary with the meaning new or no, as Americans say, new or new. Why is it new? You know why? In English and American literature, the story or the novel is a new literary form because actually the beginning of the story, the English story, is the 18th century. Before the 18th century, there was no novels. People in England before the 18th century knows poetry, dramas, but they didn't know stories. They didn't have any stories. Well, actually, this is right. And the beginning of the English stories starts with the author Daniel Defoe. He wrote a story called Robinson Crusoe. Robinson Crusoe is the first story in English literature. It was composed in the 18th century. If we compare this to the Arabic literature or maybe to other civilization literature like the old Egyptians, we have a story called Snohi. Snohi in Pharaoh's literature. It was composed 5,000 years ago. Can you imagine this? In Egypt, people knew stories 5,000 years ago. What happened in England? We've got the story in the 18th century. So you can say that the story is something new for the British or the English literature. That's why it's called novel, Novel. Try to check it in your dictionaries. Try to check it in the etymology dictionaries on the internet. You're going to find what I'm telling you. And what I'm telling you is that the story or the short story or the long one is a new literary form of literature. when we are defining the short story, well, the short, it's a short form of fiction with characters, setting, and plot. It presents a sequence of events or plot. It resembles longer forms of fiction because it provides the reader with a theme or lesson. Well, actually, I'm not intending to be a boring lecturer because actually, if I'm talking all the time, talking, it could be boring somehow. I know it. So starting from next period, inshallah, we're going to discuss together these elements and these points and the according to the weekly plan, what we're supposed to discuss tomorrow is going to be like what? It's not, I'm going to lecture all the time like this. I don't want to lecture. I hate lecturing. I love when you are participating, telling me your opinions, your point of views, your questions. It's the best part of education, actually, when you interact. So that's why I'm going to end here today because I lectured a lot and I hate this. Okay, guys? You got it? If you've got a question, please ask me because I'm ended up my period for today. So, have you got any question? Hello? Okay. Well, I'm just going to highlight something. This is the last thing for today,
No,
which
Mr.
is
I don't have a question.
wonderful. Well, you've got homework on class share today. Try to answer it. Okay. And see you tomorrow, inshallah. See you.
See you, Mr. Thank you.
Most welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
عليكم السلام. الو حياة
الحين درس رياضيات كذا.
يا عيال ايش الحين علينا؟
عزيز وين عبد العزيز؟
موجود
يلا شغل المصورة. اسكت يعني لنا حصة. ها ابي يصور.
يلا اصبر لا خلنا نشغلها. لا
يلا عزيز.
يا
اصبر
شيخنا يا
كل زيق انت كل زيق. شغلت غالي مرتين بالحصة. يبغى يصور.
ما قلبي عالشوق على غرام قلت لك احبك للموت اسحب كلامي قلت لك احبك للموت اسحب كلامي قلت لك احبك للموت اسحب كلامي ونبو كان وعاشر انسان مثلك ذاكر وشلون ابقى بكابر وقلبي ابقى شايف عليها اصلا معنى
ايوه
اللي يجمعنا تبيني ابعد عنك انا ما تستاهل انا لقيتك تبكى بس موت
خلاص يا ولد
ما يفرقنا تميت تجرح قلبي للانتهاء.
الو
هذا
اصبر دقيقة.
الو
هلا
احمد في واحد من تحل.
الو
ها ايش؟
واحد من تحله هنا داخل. واحد ضيف واحد تسجيل دخول. والله شوف احمد حسين اثنين.
ايوه
واحد
عشان
ضيف
أنا داخل
واحد عادي.
باللابتوب.
شبه اثنين والله شبه اثنين.
ايوه عارف عشان واحد دخل بالجوال وواحد باللابتوب.
الحين حصلت واحد صح؟
بعد 40 بعد كم بعد 20 دقيقة.
خليك هنا نسولف كذا.
تعال
انقلب انقلب.
مين ذا
يا واد يا ورور
يا
كل
ليل.
زق يا ورور.
مين ذا؟ عبد الرحمن ذا.
أمه تسولف. أمه مسوي يا خوي قديم.
تعال
أحمد قاعد تسوي الحين؟
والله جالس اناظر في اللابتوب، ما ادري ايش قاعد اسوي، فرفر.
ايش تلعب سوليتير؟
لا والله ابدا. الزوج ما عندك سناب انت؟
ها
نعم ما عندك.
وين تدق في الانستا؟
اقول لك عندك سناب تقول لي انستا.
تقول ايه عندي اكيد يا ولد.
ايش؟
والله شبك فيك.
يا حل.
برسل
ايش
عليك
ايش
برسل عليك.
وش تبي في السناب؟
ضفني
يا اخي كل زق برسل عليك وانت اللي ضيفني، ايش دخلني؟
والله ما ضفني انت ارسل.
اصلا اخذت فو ما اضيف مخانيث.
تمام يلا سلام. والله قوية. يودي انا صوتي تغير. ايش فيك؟
كلامنا مسجل.
ايوه ايوه مسجل. شبه
شيت.
يلا سلام تعال.
بسرعة. لا ما يوقف. دق انستا بسرعة.